Ian, really glad to have you on the pod, man.
Thanks for having me.
So Ian, you're the co-founder and CEO of Hive. Is that the right title?
I am.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Remember when we first met, like maybe a year and a half ago, you and I realized we're basically the same people in like a alternative universe and had like kids at the same time and wanted
Yeah.
the desert of the music industry for about the same amount of time before we figured out what the hell we were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had the hair,
What's that?
if I had the hair, I'd be just like you.
Oh, the hair. Yeah, still got it. Thank God. So, yeah. So, why don't you tell your story? I'll get out of the way. But I think it was about 8 years ago you started doing something that was slightly different than Hive, and eventually, fast forward, you're one of the most important marketing automation softwares for the independent music industry, and we got a lot of customer overlap. So I'm excited to have this convo. But before we kind of illustrate what Hive has become today, what's your story? Actually, yeah, why don't we start with that? Like, give us the nutshell of Hive, and then let's bring it back 8, 10 years or whenever you got going.
Yeah, I'll give you the nutshell for sure. I don't think we have time for the whole story. It's been over 10 years at this point. So I'll I'll keep it brief, but we started as a ticketing company. We're based out of Waterloo in Canada, near Toronto, and built a ticketing company for some promoters in Toronto, and then got into Y Combinator, moved down to the States, and promptly realized that nobody else wanted what we had built. So that saga ended pretty abruptly. We took all of about 6 months to get to the first pivot, and then we had a little stint of a few years working more with the label side, the management side of the business, getting a bit closer to artists themselves. And we built a bunch of tools to help them collect data on their audience and understand how to market to them better. So contests, I think we were one of the first to do free downloads on SoundCloud, shit like that, and just helping artists get engagements out in front of their fans and give them an opportunity to kind of say that they wanted to hear more, leave an email, leave the social authentication, an SMS number, whatever data they were looking for. And then we ended up building a big CRM around that to help artists identify their audience. And then that led to a bit of an analytics play saying your fans live here, they like these other things, they look like this or that, so that artists could go and advertise and acquire more of those people. So that was kind of phase two. Spent a few years in that space, and we were having fun, but having some troubles trying to figure out how to scale that business. And we're getting a little frustrated, and we started kind of introspecting and realized that we had a small cohort of customers who were live events promoters, and they, even though we had a pretty shitty little plain text emailer on the side, were getting killer email results because we had a CRM in the middle that stored ticketing data as ticketing data and artist and genre and all of the data like exactly as they knew how to think about it. And that just allowed them to do better targeting than they were used to in a MailChimp or a Klaviyo. And that was kind of the inception of the company as it is today. We've been working on that since 2018 or so. So yeah, we build marketing automation tools for the live event space and still have that really powerful CRM in the middle. We've got email marketing, SMS marketing, a bunch of lead gen tools, and then more and more building up a ton of automation around all of that stuff to help people put more of their marketing on autopilot.
Interesting. So do you have any like numbers you can share, like how many promoters you're working with, or how many like emails you're processing a month? Like what's like kind of the nutshell of that type of stuff?
Good.
Ballpark.
Good trivia for me. I think we're around 1,500 logos that are working with us, and I think an average week is a bit over 50 million emails. So
50 million emails.
yeah, some good scale for sure.
What kind of infrastructure did you need to build out technically to handle that?
A lot. I will say the dev team is proud and happy to finally be off of Mongo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
it's
Congratulations on
evolved
that.
over the years, and we've got our war stories from scaling that stack. But yeah, we send emails through SparkPost and SMS through Twilio. So we haven't built that layer ourselves. We work with some great partners.
Yep. Interesting. And your main kind of like expertise is kind of lassoing that all together and providing the interface between all of those partners, right?
Yep. Yep. We like to try to make sending pretty technical and sophisticated marketing easy and accessible to a space that typically doesn't have a ton of time and is juggling a lot of balls at once. So yeah, we're trying to make great marketing a hell of a lot easier.
I love that. Now, how many are what's your kind of like core ICP as an ideal customer profile? Is it, those 15 logos, 1,500 logos? Is it
Mhm.
primarily independent promoters, independent venues? Do you work with AEG, LiveNation?
Yep.
Do you work with talent agencies? Like what's the mix? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good blend. Our typical ICP is a promoter and lots of independents. That's kind of where we came up and within music specifically. So that's our historical bread and butter. And we work great for small venues all the way through, I would say, getting into kind of mid to larger arenas. We're not really working with a ton of the big stadiums at this point, but all the way up into the stadiums and arenas like Red Rocks. So yeah, lots of our clients are within music, tons of festivals, starting to work more with sports and rodeos, state fairs, Comic Cons. So getting into more and more verticals within events, but definitely primarily on the event side. We still got some legacy customers that are on the record label side or the management side who just need a simple ESP. But I think the value prop's a lot stronger if you're pulling in ticket sales in real time and trying to market to those people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So back in 2018 is really when you pivoted towards servicing, let's call it promoters. Is that right? What
Yeah.
was your
Yeah.
first, like, what was the first realization you had about like the core problem promoters had and like what were you solving?
I think the first realization was just how different the data was, and how unique the schema needed to be able to market in the ways that event promoters should be marketing. If you try to take tickets and tiers that are happening at a venue with an artist in a genre and shove it into an e-commerce model that's built for like items and variants with colors and sizes, everything just breaks downstream, and that makes it really hard to go and build out the types of targeting and eventually automation that you should be building. So it started at the data layer, and then quickly we realized that not only was it hard to shove that data into a MailChimp or something, but most people didn't even have the data. Like a lot of our clients at the start just had a list of emails in MailChimp and they were treating everyone the same. And that's because at that time it was quite hard to get data out of the ticketing platforms. And I believe our first integration that we built, because they had open APIs at the time, was Eventbrite. But that's where stuff really started to take off, was
That
when
was
we were
that was
able
our first
to,
integration. Also, sorry to cut you
yeah,
off. And for that very reason, I think it was probably around
yeah, yeah,
2018, back to us being in the, it's like,
yeah,
hey, they got an open API. We'll start pulling in ticket sales from Eventbrite. But anyway, so funny enough, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think like we've always taken inspiration from the Shopify ecosystem, and I think that's kind of what allowed that really great MarTech ecosystem around Shopify to be built up, was the fact that they put some authority and consistency around like the data schema, and then they made it really easy to get that data out into a bunch of different types of applications. And now they have a really killer ecosystem, and there's a lot of great marketing that happens within it. And it just came from them taking a stance and trying to make the data really portable and empowering their customers to use it. And the the ticketing space has been a bit behind, but we're seeing more and more of the ticketing platforms building out APIs to power integrations into that marketing stack. So
Interesting. Cool. Um, yeah, you just kind of going back to 2018. I remember when I was like thinking back to what the industry was in 2018, and it's actually quite a bit different than what it is now. I mean, I guess the more things change, the more things change, the more they stay the same, is the classical cliche. But if I'm not mistaken, 2018 was kind of core Ticketfly still being alive, but getting bought by Eventbrite and then eventually getting shut down.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
were you trying to integrate with Ticketfly at the time, or had customers already switched over to Eventbrite? Like, well, because you were pretty close to ticketing companies. Yeah. What was going on? Was that the time? Was that timing about right?
Yes. We have a long and funny history with Ticketfly. I believe our first ever ticketing deal we tried to sell in 2014. got crushed by Ticketfly, and they beat us out of that deal. And then subsequently, as I mentioned, we never sold another ticketing deal. And then yes, like right before we integrated with Eventbrite was when Ticketfly changed hands from Pandora to over there. And that worked out great for us because we ended up catching a lot of those Ticketfly clients as they came over to Eventbrite, and we still work with a ton of them. And a lot of them are now elsewhere in the industry. And yeah, now we have some great teammates that are from that team, actually, from the Ticketfly team. So
Yeah. Yeah. Ticketfly definitely was this moment in independent industry. And I don't know, I've been like talking with some people and just joking around. And like, I think the founders of Ticketfly would be like billionaires by now if they just like weathered the storm and hung on and continue to be that like core independent platform. Like if Ticketfly never sold to Pandora, I wonder if there would be like a legitimate Ticketmaster competitor at this point. But I don't know. Yeah.
We'll never know.
Yeah. I mean, I remember FlyCon in like 2017. I don't know if you went to that or not, but that was like one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in my life. And it's like, I've never seen so many venues and promoters in one room than FlyCon back in 2017. I was not invited for the record.
They had a pretty cool community, great culture, it seems. So yeah.
So when the customers switched to Eventbrite, did you say that Ticketfly had something like Hive? They weren't
Ticketfly, well, so did Eventbrite at the time, actually. Like I think it's still relatively common. A lot of ticketing companies have some version of simple marketing tools built in. Not all of them, but yeah, Ticketfly did, Eventbrite did, still does. They bought Tone 10 as well, so that's in there.
Yeah.
And that works fine for lots of customers who have on the simple end of the spectrum of needs and want everything in one place. But I think, especially as you get into the mid-market and people are trying to do more advanced targeting and segmenting, richer content and design, and then especially as you start to layer different channels and different lead gen strategies in, you need a dedicated product that can handle all of that. Or at least I've yet to see a solution within a ticketing provider that's sophisticated enough to handle most of those needs.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, like you and I have kind of zoomed out and talked about, you know, various like entrepreneurial endeavors, and you got to like check in with yourself and ask, like, are you a feature or are you a platform? You know, and I think we don't really always know. You know, at the beginning, I'm like, I think Prism is a feature. You know, a platform. It's not a feature that a ticketing company can build on the side. And you know, I think that's basically what you're saying here is like, you know, there is kind of remnants of Hive in some of these platforms, but you were the one to kind of say, you know what, we're not going to be a ticketing company. We're going to be a standalone system that connects to ticketing companies. And that's where you've found a lot of value. Is that a good way to summarize it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just,
go ahead.
I was going to say it's a great way to work with a larger cross-section of the industry. It would be difficult to work with and provide value to as many people if we stayed on the ticketing track. But
yeah, interesting. That's crazy to know that your first ticketing deal, Ticketfly, beat you.
I think our buddy Tom Awald, he was in there the day after us and beat us. Not surprising.
Shout out to Tom. Thanks for beating Hive 8 years ago and sending them in this other direction. Did you just ditch the ticketing component completely at that point and then go over to this other stuff?
Yeah. Well, actually, we left it running for the guys that we built it for in Toronto, and they actually eventually licensed it out and then bought it out. Might even still be running. I have no idea, but yeah, it took us all of 6 months to be like 100% focused on something else. So
yeah,
we've always been quick to iterate.
You know, we've talked about this, but I've never really like double clicked on it. Like, do you ever think about 8 years ago, like if you just kept fighting the good fight in the ticketing company, like why did you pivot at that moment instead of just kind of like, you know, continuing on that space? And frankly, I think it was good foresight. It's a tough space. I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know, there's so much competition, but yeah, just super curious. Like, what was your thinking back then? Like, you kind of saw a hurricane in the horizon that you perhaps avoided, but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we just had an intuitive sense for how painful it would be.
Yeah, but interesting.
I don't know. I think like for better or for worse, we realized early on that at least in those days, a lot of deals were getting done, not exclusively, but with decent amount of financial engineering and capital fronts. And like
Mm.
we weren't well capitalized, and we would have had to go and raise a lot of money and play that game, and that just wasn't overly interesting to us.
The financial engineering was going on 8 years ago as well.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's kind of my recollection of it. You know, that is such an interesting thing in the ticketing industry is like, you know, the ticketing companies like buy upfront contracts or whatever. And in the moment, it can be like perceived as life-changing cash for the promoters, but perhaps that, you know, would be the make or break situation for them going towards one technology or another one, and perhaps even towards a technology that's inferior than a superior technology. And for that alone, in my own view, I was like, you know, that's not a game that I personally want to play. I want to make the best possible technology.
Yeah.
But I don't know
Yeah.
if you
And I
know.
mean, like
Yeah, go
it serves
ahead.
a purpose, right? And like I think there's real value to that offering. Like it allows those clients to go in and make investments, and like front load some capex. But yeah, wasn't a game we wanted to play, and like
Yeah.
I get how the industry made it there, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens with that in the future. I don't know if you know JR. Shout out to my homie JR from Pre-Kindle. He's the only ticketing company that I know that has survived with ever offering money for a contract. Yeah, he's like the anti-ticketing company.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
it is impressive. Okay, so now all that, you know, ticketing dirt set aside, you're partnered with a bunch of ticketing companies, right? How many integrations do you have?
I don't even know, like 20
Oh
ish.
wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
20. Are all 20 servicing like the independent music industry?
Not all of them are focused on the independent space. We work with lots of companies that are kind of down further in the long tail that are really focused on independence. We work with Access and Ticketmaster, so up at the upper end of the market as well. So
Yeah.
we would love to work with as many live events promoters as we can. So
Yep.
just continuing to try to build out the integrations that'll help our customers. But yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Are you able to list like 5 or 6 kind of high volume partners that are most relevant today?
Yeah, I think the easy way to do this is always to just try to do it chronologically. It's this how we did Eventbrite, and then I believe C tickets and Axis and eTix and Pixar Dice, Sapphire, all of the Ticketmaster properties except for Arctics. So we got TM1 and Universe and TicketWeb. And then there's another 10 or so that have come more recently.
Interesting. Interesting. Man, and I appreciate your caveat that it's not just for, you know, the long tail independents, but also, you know, like the Access and Ticketmaster. But I guess to reframe my question, it's focused more so on like hard ticket businesses. Like this is like I know you mentioned that you're starting to get into some other stuff and, you know, sports and whatnot, but each of these ticket companies, would you say like a portion of their clients are straight up music venues? Is that accurate to say?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think like at least half of our customers, and at what time it was most of our customers, probably 4 years ago, are within, yeah, the independent music space. So
Interesting.
that's where we come
That is
from.
astonishing. I did not know it was 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting up there. There's
Is
a lot of
it
ticketing companies.
yeah, is this 20? Are they primarily US or are you international?
Pretty much all of our clients are in North America.
Okay.
But a number of our partners operate outside of North America, and we're
Yeah.
currently trying to pick priorities and build up a roadmap into next year for when we, step into Europe, step into Australia, etc.
Interesting.
So that'll
Interesting.
be coming soon. But yeah, most of our clients right now are in North America. But
Yeah.
we're pretty prepared on the compliance and technical side to do Europe.
Interesting. Very, yeah, that's a whole beast, huh? The compliant, you got like what GDPR and all that, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
separate databases for non, you know, for like the union versus like the UK, and we went through that
Good time.
recently. So super, it's definitely a lot more fun than just making your product better and better and better. Is dealing with all that bureaucracy, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We love it.
How's the what's your breakout of customer base, Canada promoters versus US?
It's sub 10%. It's probably
Sub
getting
10% at Canada?
probably getting close to 10%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're a US company. We
Okay.
started here in Canada, and we have quite a bit of our team is here. But yeah, we're a US corp. So
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm always curious about the music scene up in Canada, and like how many promoters and venues there are, and
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
we got a good scene, but
Yeah.
obviously, US market's quite a bit bigger. So
Interesting. What about Mexico? You got anything in Mexico?
I think we got a couple. We haven't made a concerted effort, but we've worked with a couple of people there. It's definitely on the list that we're looking
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, interesting. Like one of my curiosities is just how much like the worldwide music scene is gonna like develop over time, and you're right that it is like so strong in US, and with
Yeah,
Prism we end up like focusing more and more on the US, but at the same time, I know there's a great scene in the UK and Germany and other parts of the
yeah,
world, and but at the same time, it's like you can just get lost in the US music market because it's just like so, I don't know, dare I say dominant, for the
yeah,
time
yeah.
being. Yeah.
We're excited though. We're excited to get to go learn more. I'm sure there's more going on than we know.
Yeah, you said Australia, huh? You got some things heating up in Australia.
Yeah, it'd be a fun market to go into for sure.
Yeah. You gonna hop on a plane?
Time zone wise, it would be a bit of a pickle, but English speaking, so it'll be easy. The language front.
Yeah. Man, that's
Yeah,
always a challenge. It's like a day and 4 hours ahead. I'm always like doing like complex
yeah,
math. Like that's where,
yeah. My brother lived there for 4 years, so I've that's the time zone I've had the pleasure of learning.
yeah. How's your company grown over the years? How many people are on your company now? And what did you start with? Yeah, I guess like head count.
Started with my co-founder Pat. It's the two of us for about a year. We bumped around like 6 to 10 people pretty much from 2014 until the pandemic, and we were just starting to see some really good growth when the pandemic hit, and that knocked us on our ass for a good 6 to 8 months. Fortunately, we were able to keep the team together through that, and then yeah, ever since like start of 21, we've been growing pretty well, and we're up to low 50s, maybe 50, 52, 53 people.
Wow. Awesome. What's the breakdown of like engineers and that kind of stuff?
R&D is just over 20, so a bit under half. Then the rest is across the commercial teams, the ops team.
Got it. Got it. Where do you primarily like to hang out on your team?
I
Wherever
like to
you're
jump
needed?
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's fun getting to go deep and deep in one place at a time and really work with the team, and then and kind of get out and hop in somewhere else. So, but we're lucky we got great leaders everywhere, so they do a good job of kind of holding the fort down and get to deal with me every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like to say that I'm like, it's like whack-a-mole, with Prism. It's like, okay.
it's like
I,
whack-a-mole. Yeah,
yeah, I'm like, all right, things are good with sales and marketing. I'll like jump over to the product and like, oh man,
yeah,
like in the best state it's ever been. And then like, the wheels start falling off over there. So I jump back over there. And anyway, and then and then I go over there, then not to
yeah.
say that the company like needs, there's we have great leaders as well, but the founder
This is
energy like tends to bounce around to different parts of the company, and
yeah,
always trying to
yeah,
like up level other, yeah, one side of the, and hopefully it's not true whack-a-mole. It's like this like kind of like upwards roller
yeah,
coaster.
for sure.
That,
Yeah.
the ceiling is like getting higher and higher. Do you spend much time thinking about like what type of company you want to create? Like 52 people, that's a lot of people. Like what's the culture like at Hive, and like how do you like kind of generally operate your business?
I think like we're not super traditional in the way we think about this. Like we don't really have kind of end states that we have in mind. We care a lot more about not hating it today. Um, and we think more in terms of constraints than specifically where we want to get. I think it's pretty hard to more than double a team in a year and not hate your life. So I think like we're definitely the more slow and intentional growth. So we'd be happy to keep growing the team, 50 to 75% a year headcount wise. And that's lots for us. And I think what we care about is like continuing to be awesome new challenges to solve for our customers. And there has to be some amount of growth for that to continue, just continue to get to learn from our customers and solve cool problems and enjoy working with the team. So that's a bit of a
love
cop out
that.
answer, but
No, I don't think it's a cop out answer. I love the idea of like what's yeah, just yeah, what's like working today, and what's how can we solve our culture problems today instead of this like
yeah,
kind of head in our clouds like aspirational thing. Like how is it,
yeah.
how's the day-to-day life, Yeah.
I think like not outpacing the amount of growth that you can digest is important and something that
Mm.
we try to stay cognizant of, and it ebbs and flows. Like we grew a ton the first half of this year, and I know it was starting to get a little uncomfortable. It felt like some of the shit that we prioritized culturally was slipping, and we felt a little bit less like we had the hands on the wheels and like we could kind of keep everything in our heads, and made the decision to take a breather for a quarter, and that's really starting to pay off. So I think
Yeah.
you go through those really pushing to build and then digesting it and getting the team and the ways of working feeling good again, and then you're ready to break it all again.
If we could look 5, 10, let's say 7 years in the future, and you and I are like having one of our catch ups, like what's your
Your hair is gonna be so long by
oh
then.
dude, I'm gonna keep growing it out.
You'll be touching the ground. Yeah.
My hair is touching the ground. What's Hive look like? Yeah, what's your biggest hope in the next 7 years for Hive, and what kind of problems you want to be solving for the industry?
Fuck the big questions.
I go for it.
Well, I'd like to say blessed to be here.
There you go.
And
That's a start.
the team will be bigger. I don't care if it's 1,000 people or 200 people. I'm guessing it's closer to the latter than the prior, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what we need to continue to build the shit that our customers want. That's kind of the North Star for us. And
Yeah, I love that.
I think it's a crazy time in technology with all the AI stuff happening. Like I don't really know if stuff's going to get so efficient that we can be doing 10 times more with the same number of people 5 years from now or not.
Yep.
But I think we're confident that AI is definitely going to be a big thing. And we're trying to be really intentional about how and where to lay it into the product, and trying not to just like scramble and throw our hands up in the air at every little thing that comes out. And
Yep.
we're super confident that marketing's going in a direction where more and more of the consistent playbook that marketers are doing week to week is on autopilot, and they're in much more of a approval type interface where the system is kind of recommending stuff and drafting stuff, and initially they'll have to edit those drafts, and then they'll just kind of say go ahead, and then eventually I'm sure some of it's fully on autopilot. But that's definitely a vision that we're excited to move towards, and we've got some awesome early tests in the market now. I think that's also, we've always really believed that if you just try to ignore MarTech, like marketing should feel like talking to a friend. Like I think shit's going to be way more personalized and one-to-one and probably eventually conversational, and that's just not possible if you have a like reasonable size audience. If you have 100,000 people in your CRM, like you can't talk to each of them, right? So it's not possible right now, but I think that AI is going to be the thing that at some point makes more and more of that possible. So yeah, we're trying to take time to figure out when to integrate new technologies to slowly move towards that future where our customers can focus on the parts of their job that they love, which is like the creative aspects, the branding aspects, and then just creating experiences that people remember for the rest of their lives. And then on the flip side, making that marketing feel less and less like shitty advertising and more like just like really well targeted messages for events that you want to go to, almost like you're talking to a friend.
I love it.
So
That's a
it's a big
really,
vision, but you
yeah.
gave me a big question. So
No, you gave a brilliant answer, and there's like so much to double click on with that one. I think we like found ourselves in the AI conversation, which I've been having a lot lately. And you brought it. It is like I didn't even, when I asked you about 7 years in the future, I didn't even kind of think about the fact that AI now makes it harder to look into the future
yeah.
than ever
Well, to be
before.
honest, I had no idea how to get there, but we got some
Yeah.
guesses. Yeah.
For sure. Right. And just making sure that you're there. It's, it's really interesting. We don't really know if it's going to make everything 10 times easier or not, or if it's going to be like, I heard Mark Benioff today compare it to Clippy 2.0. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's a little bit better than Clippy 2.0. And I think that's perhaps like downplaying it a little bit, but at the same time, like we're not yet at the second coming of Terminator either. And you and I were talking before, and we're like, both of us still want to do 10 times the amount of things with our tech companies that we can do just because of limited resources. And sure, 20 engineers are moving slightly faster than they could have before, but
Yeah.
definitely not at the pace that 200 engineers would have done before. Another thing that came clear to me when you were talking is like, what your and my company looks like in 7 years from now is really curious. I think it's also curious to ask like what are the venues and promoters and those teams look like.
Mhm.
And I think one thing that's interesting is they're already so lean, and they're already like you have one marketing person responsible for like a conglomerate of arenas, stuff like that. I'm kind of
Yeah.
somewhat exaggerating, but somewhat not. And they're not able to, they have these like really lean, mean infrastructures. So, if AI and tools like Prism and Hive make their jobs easier and easier and easier and easier, like I think that would just be like a very, very, good thing for the industry. Like the idea of becoming like moderators and making sure like the flow of traffic is just, continuously going is a very interesting visual. But it's a fascinating conversation. Like it's really
It
interesting
is.
to
Yeah.
look into this crystal ball and I've been hitting my head on the prism, I guess pun intended, of this conversation quite a bit. I can't say I have a clear vision of the crystal ball yet. It sounds like you don't either yet.
Not yet, but I think you said it, like just being there and kind of paying attention to what's coming and getting shots on goal as stuff comes out is probably the best you can do.
Are you looking at
But
bringing AI into the product?
we've already got some, and I don't know. We did the obvious shit that everyone's doing. Like you can generate and A/B test subject lines, and you can generate copy and generate images. But I think like that's not where the interesting stuff is going to be. That's all commoditized already, right? You don't need Hive to do that. But where we're really stoked to start to experiment more and are starting to experiment more is in like really building up an agent that understands your brand and understands your strategy. I think like initially that starts by just like getting your tone and
Mm,
helping kind of lay that in all the right places, and then paying attention to what's working in your marketing and starting to make recommendations. I think like AI sitting behind alerting is going to be really interesting. I think there's going to be a whole edge that is just interfacing with software through language. It's pretty monotonous to like go and, connect data and set up your data schema and then build segments and build out these like multi-step marketing automation journeys. And sometimes like you have it in language. It's like, well, I just want to send tickets to the people in New York that have bought tickets in the past to artists like this one, right? But like
mhm.
going in and trying to build that segment's a pain in the ass. But if you could just say it and the system could go and know how to like build on the right primitives within the product to build
Yeah.
that segment up and drop that campaign in the tone of your brand. I think that's where you start to get like the real both time savings, but also probably a lot more efficacy, because our clients do a lot of going in and saying, okay, this artist is coming and I know these 5 artists in my head that are like it. So I'm going to build a segment for people who bought
Mm,
tickets to these 5 artists.
mm.
But like there's another 100 that are just as similar, that are a bit more niche, and you're just missing a lot of the audience that you should be marketing to. And lots of our customers are kind of in one paradigm or the other where they're like, fuck it, I'm just going to blast everybody, or they're just trying to um, slam their head against like really monotonous building. So I think there's lots of opportunity to just help either expand bandwidth or imagination to how people could and should be marketing without them needing to have that time. But we're learning lots from our customers because we're seeing them do that stuff, right? Like some of the scrappy ones are using Perplexity and like saying, I have this artist coming. Tell me what other 50 artists are similar that I should market to. So it's cool just watching our customers. They're smart. They know what they wish they could do. So we just listen to them and then make that easy in the product.
Is this a look into the future of like what you want to accomplish with Hive? Is kind of like okay, you got Charlie Crockett coming to town, and you throw that name into Hive, and it thinks, and you have a strategy just ready to roll, and here's 45 audiences that are similar to Charlie based off of the crunch data, and
Yeah.
here's the best way to get in front of them, and you're gonna have to hit them 7 times in the next month, and you can expect out of the 40,000 people in this bucket in the radius that makes sense, is
Yeah.
going to lead to a sellout show. Whatever, boom, go check in on it, make sure it's working, tweak the content. Is that kind of
Yeah.
that's the future, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. That's a good part of it. I don't know. We
Yeah,
think through this like pyramid of needs, if you will, of a marketer. It's like I think you have to have good data, and we spent a long time there, like building the CRM, building the data schema, building the integrations, building the ability to normalize the data and make it clean. Then you have to have the tools, the channels, email, SMS, the lead gen tools, the right integrations, the segmenting, the automation, and then from there you can maybe get to like automation and really like pushing on making stuff efficient and effective. And
yeah,
uh, we're stoked that we're through a lot of kind of those. I mean, there's still going to be new tools to build, but we feel like we're at this exciting time where we've got a lot of the tools, if anything, sometimes more tools and more complexity than a lot of our customers need. And we're painfully aware that often the product's more complicated than our customers wish it was. So we're excited to get to this place that we can now start to like make it accessible, digestible, and start to recommend and automate the ways that they should be marketing. So that's an
yep,
exciting place to be.
yep. Did I just hear you say that you've like built a ton of features and haven't perhaps prioritized like the simplicity and user experience? Is that, long story short?
I wouldn't say we've never prioritized it, but we've been a small, scrappy team. We've been around for 10 years, just building stuff in. So we're really fortunately now we have the bandwidth and the intentionality to go back and try to make that stuff more accessible and really work on UI and UX.
Yeah,
But
it's a
yeah,
thing to deal
definitely.
with.
Like it's cool. It's cool looking at new people in the space, like a symbol where the UI is just really clean, and we take inspiration from some of those newer players who aren't building on top of like a ton of shit that's been built up over 10 years. And then we're also uh, stoked about the advantage that comes from having a lot of that work behind us and having solved those scaling issues and really banged our head against how to think about data for 10 years and built out all the marketing tools that our customers need. So excited to put the two together.
Yeah, is Symbol a competitor?
Yeah.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
I think like can also be a compliment in some contexts, and we got some good shared customers. So we're friends.
Yeah, cool. Good on you for having a friendly competitive spirit, by the way.
Of course. I think
Yeah,
the
even giving them
space,
a shout out on podcast. That's impressive.
love those guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
cool.
think like a vibrant ecosystem is what our customers deserve, and they should have choices. We're not going to be the best solution for everyone. So
Oh man, wow, that is a winning spirit. I gotta say, I'm impressed with you right now. Yeah, it's easy to just be like, oh fuck those guys.
you caught me on a Friday. I'm in a good mood.
Cool, cool. It depends on the day, right?
No,
Um,
no, no. It's genuine.
no, but it's funny, right? Like we deal with this with Prism too, where I'm like, man, like, I'd love to redesign this part of the app and that part of the app and this and that and make it look better. But, our customers are asking us to go wider, like for the most part. Like some people are asking for the UX, but in the same breath, they're asking for the UX. They're like, but why doesn't it do this and this and this and this and this? And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't think a lot of people realize like the firing hose, something like Hive or Prism. And I'm not trying to play the world's smallest violin here, but like the firing hose that we're drinking from having, whatever, 1,500 partners and like just trying to discern like, okay, we just got 1,000 good ideas and there's 10 we can move forward next quarter.
Mhm.
Out of those 1,000, probably 200 were delivered to us with heat, if you will. And
Yeah.
there's 10 we
Yeah.
can go, boom, like sometimes it's hard to prioritize design, but at the same time, I've seen good design really remarkably like we can tell ourselves like our customers want to expand, and then we push like an update that eliminates a click, and it's like those are the blockbuster hits, you know, is when the UI and UX improve. So I feel your pain, and I understand. And you know, if you look at Salesforce.com, like that's not going to win into design awards. You know, it's so
But it's
fascinating.
powerful. Yeah.
It was powerful, right? Yeah, but I don't know if there's much else to say on that topic besides like it's a tough balance. You know, it is in fact a balancing act.
The tough balance, an ecosystem is good. Options are good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Like I
but
saw
hey,
like
we could use those 200 competent AI developers and designers any day now.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, come on, Sam Altman. Let's go. Let's get Copilot and GitHub a little bit better, and then we can make all of our customers' dreams come true. You know, it's funny. Like I saw Partiful start popping up. Have you seen that app, Partiful?
I don't think so. No.
It's like I'll shoot you an invite on my phone after just so you can see it from like a software perspective. It's like a very simple Eventbrite, but on your phone and like totally mobile based. You can fire up an event in like 3 minutes and invite all your friends, and it's totally built for the mobile experience. And I was just like, dang,
Cool.
like this is a serious problem for Eventbrite. And like, you know,
Kind of
if I
like
was
a Posh or something. Like, would they be in the
yeah,
same?
yeah. There's a couple of them out there right now. Partiful is the one, I guess, that's hot for the Austin, Texas party scene, but that's the one I'm
Got
seeing.
it. Got it. Cool.
But yeah, it is an interesting kind of, you know, yeah, take on the differences between like a robust platform that's powerful versus like a very simple user experience.
Yeah.
Man, like going back to our AI conversation and like what, you know, what happens in the future and you know, just being alive 7 years from now, I think, you know, let me ask you this, like, why did you pick this industry? Why has your passion led you in this direction? You know, and you've given, you know, your whole adult career now to this industry, and you seem to be tripling down on it as well. Like, what made you want to work here in the music space?
I think the honest answer is like we're not the founders who, you know, had this burning desire that we had to solve this one specific thing in the world. We were 22 and we loved music and we loved concerts, and we came across a cool opportunity to build a ticketing platform for some buddies who ran shows, and we kind of just like fell in love with building for the space. The customers are really cool, the problems are really interesting, there's like real need there, and you can see that you're adding value. So I wouldn't say it was overly like intentional, but we're happy with where we landed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a
having
really
fun.
no, it's a simple but profound answer. And what else can anyone really say besides like they just enjoy concerts, you
You know,
know?
I
So,
was in school for biochemistry at the time, so
oh,
like,
no kidding. I love that. I love that. What's your what's your hopes for the industry in the future? Like how much do you foresee, like do you have optimism about like how much the industry is going to grow? And yeah,
um,
what are you seeing
not
from a
an
marketing
not
perspective
an
too? Yeah.
economist, but I mean, like the market seems to be doing well and growing. And I think coming out of COVID, we're seeing that live events aren't going anywhere, and in-person experiences are really important to people. And I think, you know, AR and VR finally figured this shit out. That's not going to change that. People are still going to want to get out with their friends and have a real experience in the world. So pretty bullish that that's not going anywhere, and that there's going to continue to be a lot of problems to solve for around the edges of that. And I think one truth that we see that's not going anywhere, that means there's lots of space to build, is like lots of people miss events that they'd love to be at. And we'd love
Mm.
for more of those people to make it to those events, whether it's because they didn't know about them, they found out too late, they couldn't figure out how to get there. I think there's lots of cool problems around that, and that those in-person experiences are meaningful to people. So I don't think any of that's going anywhere. So that's maybe all I'll say. I'm
Yeah.
not
No,
going to try to
I
like
appreciate that.
forecast the how the GDP of that space is going to change, but
You know, back to the whole conversation with data. It's interesting to hear you say, like, from a marketing perspective, like looking at marketing data for like one artist and similar artists. Like, I'm more on the booking side, and I think about that as well. Like, I think, you know, for booking artists, like you could look at a booking problem in that same way. Like,
Yeah.
Whatever, Shaky Graves did really well at your venue, like what are the other, 200 artists that you're not thinking about that could do? And it's one of the
Mhm.
things that I'm most inspired about with data and like what data could do, to benefit the industry. Like a lot of people spend a lot of time in like the doomsday kind of like AI talk. And I think it's a worthy conversation because we want to avoid an asteroid if an asteroid is coming. But the chances of it being like a good thing for the industry, I think is, really tremendous. Like I was just in Nashville for Americana Fest and I was blown away by how much talent there was. And anytime I go to a local showcase, like the amount of talent is just like absolutely profound. And if these like, if venues have the right booking tool and data is getting out to the people who it should be getting out to, and there's just more awareness of who should get booked, and then that transfers up to the marketing, and we
Mhm.
do build out these like super information highways to the customers, and people just simply know about the shows that they want to go to, and I foresee the industry just like growing and growing and growing, and tech partners
Yeah.
like playing more and more of a role in that, and
Yeah.
that's fairly inspiring to me, and that's definitely one of the reasons why like I love what you're doing, and want to see it continue to grow and do good for the
Yeah.
future. Yeah, quick shout out. We're gonna do a little Prism promotion. What is it? Just like hive.com/prism, or how's it work?
Hive.co. Don't go to hive.com.
Oh
That
my
is
God, I'm so sorry.
project management software. Although if you hate Asana, maybe you will like hive.com.
Hive.co.
But
My
no,
bad. My
we
bad.
are hive.co, and yeah, if you go to hive.co/prism, we'll
Okay.
hook people up with a discount there. 'Cause, yeah, we're hoping to get a little partnership and integration going. So
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. You and I were talking before the call about a Prism/Hive integration. So why don't you drop if you are listening to this podcast and you would like to see that happen, either
yeah,
shoot me
let us
or
know.
yeah, Ian, and what you think. What would that look like, Ian, if we integrated? What do you think we should do?
I think I need a up-to-date demo of your product,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
know you guys have some really awesome data, and a lot of it's been asked for within Hive and difficult for us to get to. I know like just having really accurate show-by-show inventory and ticket counts would be really helpful because that allows us to then say, okay, this show's distressed or this show's selling ahead of
Hmm.
the schedule, and therefore these are the types of ways you should be deploying budget and the types of strategies that are going to be effective. So even just starting there would be killer. But I'm sure that there's a ton of data on both sides that would be great to pass back and forth. So, and I know just the more that people can have one seamless workflow through like planning and booking a show to trying to sell it and then close it out, it's got to be lots of interesting stuff to solve in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to make that happen. And shout out to kind of another cool marketing partner, Sparrow. We were talking about how
Mhm.
Sparrow's pulling in information, and
Yeah.
Mike's a wizard and just figured it out himself.
Mike is a wizard. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, putting together Prism, Sparrow, Hive, any of
Yeah.
the
It could be
good
really
ticketing
cool.
partners. I think there's like some really cool things that are already possible right now, but it like sparks my imagination for the future. Um,
Yeah. Mike's
just
got great ideas there. We should get together with him.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just play like, I don't know, whatever it is, fastball here with a couple of like big industry ideas. And first, let's like
Great.
touch the untouchable topic. DOJ, LiveNation. 5 years from now, do you see status quo, or is Ticketmaster an independent company? Like, what do you see in the future?
I would say that question's a little above my pay grade, probably.
The
I have
cop
no
out
idea.
answer. No.
I really don't know though. And I think there's a lot of factors in there. I'm sure Live Nation and Ticketmaster will both still be around and providing lots of value to the space, but who knows? Maybe there'll be some changes as well. I don't really know. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's
but
another crystal ball that's hard to peer into. If
yeah,
you had to bet
that's
one way or
definitely
the
not
other,
not what I have hot takes on. But
yeah. Well, here's a hot take. 5 years from now, where do you put your chips? Uh, a stronger independent industry, or the same, or kind of less powerful
hmm.
than current state?
Well, I would say I wouldn't say a weaker Live Nation Ticketmaster and a stronger independent scene are mutually exclusive.
Agreed. Yeah,
So I do
agreed.
think like stronger independence. Yeah, I believe in that, and I think there's a lot of companies doing great work in that space, and I believe
Yeah.
that they're going to continue to do that regardless of where some of this stuff lands. And um, as much as they get heat, like TicketMaster's a powerful product, and there's a lot of customers there that can't do the shit they do there elsewhere. And so I think
Yeah.
like both are going to continue to exist, and both will, I assume, be doing just fine. If you had to like try to slice the proportion of the industry that's on each, I don't really know where the cookie crumbles, but
Both grow. I like that answer. Not non-zero sum game. Do you think there's going to be, for on the tech scene, you and I were talking about, like on one side, like large acquisitions are getting blocked by this current, Lena Khan administration that's
mhm,
led to like a lot of private equity activity.
yeah,
Anything, any like, where do you see tech companies kind of, and that means a lot of the crazy acquisitions have stopped. I don't know if LiveNation, you're going to see any like giant LiveNation acquisitions as a result, or AEG for that matter. Like,
yeah,
what do you see happening with like M&A over the next few years?
yeah. It's an interesting atmosphere. It does seem like the upper end of the market's a bit slow or blocked off right now. So I would agree it would be surprising to see big acquisitions by some of those bigger players, and P's having a good time right now. But I don't know. We're definitely starting to see some interesting VCs and lots of heat in the space from that P domain, and I've seen lots of interesting either plays that have happened or just like VCs around roll-ups putting together a ticketing platform or two with other pieces of the ecosystem. So I think like we'll see more of that kind of consolidation and like strategic integration stuff happening is my guess. And I don't know what to make of that. Kind of gets back to your like fundamental question at the start of like how many things can you really do well.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's good for the space or bad for the space. If the best ops platform and the best marketing platform and the best ticketing platform all end up together, like
Yeah.
the possibility for deeper integration is cool and valuable. And then the downside is maybe those things aren't all the leaders 3 years after that. But but yeah, I don't know. We will see. But it is cool to see more eyes on the space and more dollars going into the space for sure.
So I guess let's end on like a big kind of imaginative question. We've got like hard to see the crystal ball with consolidation, the acquisition environment that you just laid out, AI in the future. What is the music industry that you want to see 10 years from now?
Just a booming music industry. I
Yeah.
think on the record side, want to keep seeing lots of new artists coming out and lots of new records coming out. It's fun having access to all that stuff in real time and in one place now without getting into other areas that we can put our foot in our mouths. But um, I don't know. We just care for there to continue to be a lot of really cool events. Like I think you were touching on something with there's really cool shit at the edge of like identifying where shows that should be happening in an area don't get booked because nobody knows to book them.
Yeah.
Like I could see, and it'd be cool to see lots of more spontaneous pop-up-y shit happening, kind of like that Jack White tour that's happening right now. So I think more shows in new markets would definitely be really cool to see, and it's good that this platform's like starting to focus on and trying to facilitate that type of thing, where the traditional kind of promoter and ticketing companies maybe aren't as nimble. And yeah, just more shows. I don't know how
Awesome.
else to say it. What about you? What do you want to see, Matt?
No, I like that. Yeah. Well, thank you for turning it back on me. Yeah, it's, I'll think about that for a second. Yeah. I think I very much resonated with your point around, just a booming industry. And I'd like to see 10 times the amount of shows happen that are happening, and the collective sell-through rate of the industry go up and up and up. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of my fundamental beliefs with Prism, is something that we can help with. And I certainly can't do it alone. I think when I started the industry, I was like, I can like solve all the problems, but now I'm just more so like, I'm glad Ian exists over there, and I'm glad Mike Maurer exists, and JR, and a million shout outs that I'm going to fail to give right now in this moment. Like, I think it's definitely going to take the whole tribe to bring the experience to its full fruition. But yeah, I think with data, yeah, like I think there's like the AI optimist or the AI like, pessimist perspective, and I take the optimist perspective. Like I would like to see, yeah, 10 times the amount of concerts happening that are happening. I think AI, like, sorry, VR will like never replace it, but I would like to see like kind of more of that like happening in like in a cool way, not as like a replacement, but like just as like a, cool thing, like
Yeah,
integrating
yeah,
like a real world experience with the VR and the AR. I
yeah.
went to the Sphere. I don't necessarily think like every venue needs to be the Sphere 10 years from now, but like
Come on.
that was extremely badass. I mean, yeah, I think like, I just foresee a world where more like there's so many creators, there's so many talented people. Like, look,
Yeah,
I think, there's a lot of questions on like how much of the like are the Luddites finally going to be right, with this wave of like innovation. Like in the past, the factories has, temporarily displaced some jobs, but it's created so much more jobs. And the
yeah,
Luddites were
yeah,
wrong in the past, but now like are they right? And like our jobs gonna come off the table that don't get put on it. One interesting solution is like if the creative industry just like 10x's, and like all these people who aren't yet making a living with their music actually can, because there's these like booking and touring and marketing infrastructure set up such that like, even if you're only good enough to sell 80 cap rooms across the country, there's enough of those to stay in business, and you can just
for
hop on
sure.
and make a living as an artist. Like I think, seeing the creator economy like really explode and like live being a part of that, I think is, something that I care deeply about, and is something
Yeah,
that I want to see, and I believe it will happen. I really do believe it will happen. The industry has to push.
maybe
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
everybody will become a concert promoter. Maybe that's what'll
Everybody,
happen.
though, it's going to be like the biggest industry on the planet in 10 years from now, because like everything else is going to be automated, Like I actually do
But I'm
believe
with you. Yeah,
I do believe that it has potential to be one of the biggest industries on the planet, because yeah, there's so much shit is just going to be, if
yeah,
AI really does like replace like a lot of stuff, like it will not replace a live experience. Like that's the whole point of a live experience,
yeah,
is
yeah,
experiencing humans create and just being blown away by what a human is doing. Like I'll stick my neck out and make that statement, and risk being wrong 10 years from now, because some AI act is like touring the world, and they
yeah.
pull this podcast up and they're laughing at me. I don't believe that's going to happen, but if it does, so be it. I believe in the other future where it's
It
like,
might happen, but I agree that real, real human to human experiences
yeah,
are important and not going anywhere. And I
yeah,
completely agree. Like, there's tons of artists out there that would love to put on a show and either don't know how to get there or can't make the means meet, the ends meet.
yeah,
And also, like, I don't know, like we live in not a small town here. It's like almost a million people in Kitchener, Waterloo, and like there's never any shows I want to go to. And um, I
yeah.
know there's tons of demand, and I know there's capital to put shows on. So like,
Why doesn't it
there's
happen? Yeah.
exactly.
It's too hard right now. It's too hard. But if there was better access to data and there was more of like a pipeline you could just tap into, and it's like you open up a venue, and maybe this is me being idealistic right now, but I don't think it's idealistic when you start doing the math of like how many good artists out there have decent Spotify followings in that community. Like they could have a venue,
For sure.
they could
I
have a
will.
venue.
It's funny. It's funny we ended up here because the actual way that we started the company. So there's actually been
Yeah.
four sagas,
Same.
and the
Yeah.
first one lasted about a week. And what we thought we could do is crowdsource concerts, and we put a fake show online and said that some DJ was coming to a club locally, and we're like, I wonder if we just buy Facebook traffic like from the universities, if we can get enough people to like commit to buying tickets, and then we can go to like a booking agent and say, you should be booking here because like we've already sold 80% of the tickets. And we ended up just getting cease and desisted by everybody, and everyone was really really pissed off. But I believe that might have been like our first
Someone was trying
interaction
that at
with
my campus too, by the way. I've heard this idea before. But like,
yeah,
I think you were tapping into a kernel of truth. Like,
yeah.
it's hard to take the industry as is and flip that on its head. But like, yeah. I mean, with these like super highways getting built out further and further, which is really what you and I are doing. There should be everywhere where there should be a venue, there should be a venue for sure. And and like Neva's playing its part, like because there's a lot of crap that comes with running
Mhm.
events, dealing with the city and that type of thing. And Neva's building out the infrastructure, and
Yeah, yeah,
I appreciate that. And I think part of why there's not a venue everywhere there should be a venue is because there's not the pipeline that you and I are talking about in this like super connected highway. But then another part of it is it's just hard. Their expenses are high and dealing with the city is rough. So like major shout out to Neva for the work that they're doing. That's an unbelievable silver lining of the pandemic is that
it
team,
is.
Cody and Dana and all them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're great. I agree.
Oh, one thing
But
that I
yeah,
wanted to say, I think there's a really hidden message in the Sphere launching. Have you been to the Sphere yet?
I actually have not made it yet,
Dude,
unfortunately.
go.
I've got very young kids, so it's not the year. We got
I brought them. I brought them
once
to
the little
Vegas, and
guy's
I
over a
brought my
year old.
10-year-old to Dead and Co. And like he got
10,
scared.
10-year-old,
Like
you could do it. Yeah.
there was
No,
a
did
bunch of
he?
kids there, and I was like, I'm bringing him. And like the opening scene, his eyes were
That'd be a
like,
lot.
and
Yeah.
it we took off in outer space, and he was freaked out. I was like, really, dude? And then he hung in there, and then eventually he wanted to leave, and I'm like, all right, let's we were hanging out outside, like, yeah, let's just get out of here. But
Yeah. Well,
uh,
at least the tickets aren't expensive.
there's a hidden message of the Sphere, which is like they could have just done this on like the Oculus Rift or something like that. Like, but even the Sphere, like you want to be there in person, right? Like it's like being inside of an Oculus Rift or something like that. But it's like everywhere
Yeah.
you look
Yeah.
is like unbelievable visuals. And I'm having trouble even saying what I'm trying to say, but like that happened at a venue before it happened on the
Yeah.
Oculus Rift. Like they still said, no, let's spend $1 trillion building this thing and lining every square inch of the wall. Like the most immersive digital experience, the most successful immersive digital experience is still a physical venue, instead
Yeah.
of it being on the Oculus Rift. And I thought that was, or whatever, Apple Vision Pro. So I think there's once again, a hidden message in just how powerful gathering is. Like it's the most innate human thing.
I don't think it's going anywhere, but
Amen.
I'm
Amen.
biased, so
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
listen to me.
You and I are banking on it. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Would love to not do another drastic pivot. We're
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty
Get into
stoked building what we're
commercial
building right now.
insurance or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now this industry, it's almost kind of a silly question. Why did you choose this industry? It's like, dude, do I really need to answer that? It's concerts, it's like the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
Yeah. Who
I
wouldn't
meant,
love it?
oh, go ahead. What are you saying? Yeah.
Said who wouldn't love it?
Well, keep up the good work, man. I really think you're doing the Lord's work over there, and yeah, keep going. Appreciate you.
Likewise. We appreciate you, and we're excited to build that integration.
Yeah, reach out to us listeners if you want it. I'm curious to hear what the response is, but yeah. All right, man. Good convo.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Wasting hours, flowers.